anymore.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is 4:15, Monday, March 28th, 2022, and welcome to the meeting of the St. Joseph County Board of Directors, St. Joseph County Public Library Board of Directors meeting. I will start with calling to order and determining that we have a quorum. So I will do a roll call. Please say that you are here and that you have received your materials. Marvin?
Here, I received materials in front of Donna.
Okay. Ellen?
Same.
Anne?
I'm here and I have my materials.
Ruth?
Yes, I'm here and I have my materials.
John?
I'm here via Skype and I have my materials.
Good. And I am also here. So we have 6 of 7 and Terry Rensberger is present but not participating. With that, I will move to entertain a motion to approve the library board minutes of the meeting held on February 28th, which was sent out to you in the board packet.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments, corrections, questions? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. Marvin?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Anne?
Aye.
Ruth?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
And I also approve. Thank you very much. Moving on to our director's report. Deb?
Thank you. I'm treating this like any other meeting. I just want to sit that up front so I can get through it. PLA just held its first national conference since the beginning of the pandemic. We had 6 staff members there in person and several virtual. So we look forward to what you brought. I'm looking at you. What you brought back. There are usually some really good ideas. In Main Library news, work has been happening in the courtyard over the last few weeks. We think the hardscape now is done. They're supposed to be punching that this week. And the plants should be going in early April. So we will finally be able to dedicate the courtyard and dedicate the learning center space.
Nice.
Late April, are we thinking, Jenny?
Yep.
Yes.
I have a question about that. I just noticed as we were ambling over here that there are many, many doors to the courthouse.
Yes, there are.
Are those going to be usable? Okay. I would just think that that would be,
Most of the time, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Seems like that would be,
Not all,
okay,
but most.
okay,
And they do filter out to one door to get into the courtyard.
okay.
In the learning center area, those will be lockable unless there's an event going on, but you'll be able to get in through the courtyard because Studio 304 sits over there and the library proper. So we went from, it was all about one door to a lot of doors, many doors.
But right now they're all locked.
They're all locked. Yep.
Thank you.
In the cafe, we've been waiting for the correct espresso machine, which has been on order from Italy for a year. And then they sent the wrong one. And so we now have what we believe to be the correct one. Our inspection with the health department went through. We're opening this Friday.
Yay.
I'm knocking wood. It's been a long time. Shelving end panels and top caps, along with some countertops, are still going in. They finally finished the youth services area pretty well, and we're waiting for fiction in the AV area. And that's not going to finish up, we think, until May. So there are still things going on in the library. Jenny, I'm going to come to you last. I know we usually do that first. In the executive director search, John Keister, the consultant who's working with you all, is doing some pre-interviews and tells us he has 6 candidates. Some of you already know that he's pre-screening. His next step will be to work on what he calls mini essay questions to those candidates, and then he'll get back to you all, he said, in early April with next steps. So you'll see the resumes, you'll see the expanded information on the people he's talking to, and all the rest of it. In our spending, you have some budget numbers there from Kelly. We're spending at a fairly high rate compared to 2021, and there are still a number of construction bills to be paid and a number of things we're wrapping up, and a lot of that is coming out of operating right now, or the general fund. But we're still a little concerned. We're going to be talking about that in the coming, well, I won't be, but in the coming weeks, the team will be talking about that. to make sure we're on track. You know, we've hired a lot of new people, so you're seeing that reflected in the expenditures. But there are some other things, you know, and it's where I thought it probably would be. It's always in the services lines with service contracts, miscellaneous things. So we're going to be looking at those. Jenny, statistics.
All right, so February, I feel like I need to be talking into something, but I'll just talk.
Look
to
at
the owl.
look at the owl.
So we are still seeing a lot of growth in both circulation and visitation. Things like Wi-Fi usage are increasing quite a bit, actually. And, you know, as always, we're kind of looking at these numbers and trying to figure out where they're coming from, what are driving these things, and whether they, you know, reflect on any future decisions. One thing, this is not in the staff report, but we also use a software called Orange Boy to look at some other information like active card holders. That's where that particular statistic on the board report is. And I've been noticing some really encouraging increases in the number of people that we are re-engaging. So that would be either occasional users, or people that use the library, you know, maybe every 6 months, every 9 months, or inactive users, which are people that haven't used the library in a year. And that doesn't mean that their cycle for use is like 15 months, so they go into an inactive status. But over the last, I would say, last month, we've seen a lot of trends towards across the board users and occasional inactive coming back to the library. So we'll have to dig into why that might be and how we can kind of maybe spur that along more so that we are continuing to activate all of our patrons, including we're seeing increases in our new card holdership, which is another area that we're hoping to grow.
I have a question. How do you have software that tracks individual cards? How do you know that?
It looks at use, so it can tell if a patron is active or inactive. So it'll tell us just in an aggregate how many active card holders we have versus people that might be in an inactive status.
But if you know that they're active, you must be tracking the card.
It's just through our catalog. Yeah. so
It's not telling us what they're checking out.
No, I know what you're but I'm just curious how you know that. That's all.
Yeah, I think that is a good question. But it's a library software that Orange Boy, which I think I talked to everyone about. We signed up for it about 2 years ago, right when COVID started, right around when COVID started. And that's where we get the bulk of our statistics. So it's looking at like when, and which is another interesting thing to think about. So it looks at circulation use, so book use. So if a card holder uses their card to check out a book, then they've used their card, so they become an active card holder. Whereas if you haven't used your card in a year, then you kind of fall in this inactive category. But it's not looking at other ways that people use the library, like computer use or program use. Yeah, so it's just one little sliver of glimpse into how people are using the library. But it at least shows us how we're engaging with our audience. You know, how, because we want everyone to have a library card, not only have a library card, but also be using their library card. So that's really an indicator of that level of engagement.
Let me ask a question also, just a follow-up question. When it says computer usage, this is February 2022, 110,079, is that hours or individual uses?
Those are computer minutes. Yeah.
Oh, minutes,
Yes,
okay,
Computer minutes.
okay.
Yeah, we have a few metrics for computer use that we track, like on across the system. And we just pull out the one that sort of just reflects, I guess, use most generally.
So would Wi-Fi usage be minutes as well?
It's number of patrons. So
So
that one
Wi-Fi.
is individual users.
It might make sense to add I mean, obviously, if it's circulation of, well, I'm looking at the page I'm
Page
looking at.
5.
Yeah, page 5, it's not, doesn't
Yeah, we
seem
can
to
put
be.
in maybe parentheses, just what
Yeah, someplace.
what the measure is.
I've got a question too. On the page before,
Okay,
so, and it just in general, the very top one, it says circulation of physical materials. And so February 2022 is 153,366. And then we don't actually have the February of 2019. because we start with March of 2019, so, which is when COVID started. So we don't have, right, that's when, but I'm curious, just in general, if you all know, I was trying to see, it seems like we're really pretty close to back. I mean, I'm surprised even that our circulation is so close to what it was pre-COVID, because it seems like people continue to be going down in books checked out, but it seems like that's not necessarily the case. It seems like that's maybe we've plateaued with
We have
numbers
leveled off.
going leveled off, yeah.
Part of it is COVID hit, but we had also just closed main library. So we had like a conflation of those two factors about how use changed very quickly.
Okay.
So I think what you're seeing in those numbers is we're back to a level, but it still represents a
Yeah.
time when main library was closed.
Yeah,
Got
we're still not back to where we were pre-main library, although you can see that main library is pulling,
People
I
are-
think, circulation away from some of the branches, which we thought it would do. You know, some of the branches are dipping a little bit as people are coming back to Maine. And they want to see what Maine is like, but I think every library, every public library out there is still struggling post-COVID, and we're not out of it totally, to figure out how to bring people back.
Yeah.
And if you noticed also that 36% of our circulation is digital now, so people never have to come. The other thing I thought was interesting is that curbside took a spike when the COVID numbers were up. Our curbside just went through the roof compared to what it had been during 2021 for the rest of the year. So it's an interesting set of numbers. I think we've all talked about whether there's a way to track patron usage as they go through our facilities. So what do you engage with? But Orange Boy is, as Jenny said, a library product, and it's meant to just look at what public libraries do, and it's been really useful.
Oh, I just noticed that too. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, it's,
But I just noticed, I was thinking circulation of physical material was actually books that are things going out. But now I see above it, it says, but that 153,000, is that actually books going out, or does that include the digital?
No, that's just
That is
books.
hard material.
It doesn't include our digital materials. So that would, showing that stat would probably,
Well, so what is the 106, up above that little small little thing with that, but it says 106,995.
you're still, are you on page 4?
This little thing at the top, the little box.
Oh, that is, let me make sure I get this. So the physical circulation of physical material likely includes auto renewals. Would that make sense? And then, so that physical circulation wouldn't include renewals of material. So if you renew your book, it counts as a circ stat. So that's what the discrepancy in those numbers, although I will check that to make
I
sure
just want to-
100%. Because there's always these little differences in how we can measure.
And those are gonna go up probably too, because people now that people don't have to, if they don't return their book within the 3-week period, it automatically renews.
And that's something that we're going to be looking at, the effect of auto renewals on our circulation
Right.
statistics. That's something we saw at PLA. Some libraries are noticing trends in that. So we just want to make sure we're ahead of the curve on understanding how that is affecting our statistics.
Sure.
It could also affect buying patterns. That's the other piece of it down the road, because if people are allowing their materials to renew automatically, which I'm doing, it also means that people aren't returning materials to the shelf. And
Right.
so there are things that we may have to change our buying patterns to once they kind of know what's happening. And again, this is really new. We just started this in January, so it's still early to know how it's going to shake out, but we're seeing some changes.
And looking at another thing we're keeping our eye on is with digital circulation, how things like the guest card are impacting, people use in different overdrive use. And we're starting to see things, but you have to at least give it a quarter before you can even
Sure.
say that you're seeing something that
Mhm.
might be a trend. But we're keeping our eye on all of this.
Well, I thank you for that, and I thank you for everything that is happening. As I told several people, I was here over the weekend for BookCon, and the place was packed. So it looks like there's really a lot of weekend usage. And I've been here on Sunday afternoons where you couldn't even find a parking place within 2 or 3 blocks. So, good work. Anything else?
Nothing from me.
Any other questions?
I have a question relating back to Deb's earlier remarks. The interviews, the pre-interviews that he's doing, do we have any guess on when our actual interviewing might be occurring?
I think from the emails, which couple of the board members got, as well, the people that were on the committee, I think April. But I don't know exactly when. Once you get the preliminary information, then I think you can make a determination about who you're actually going to interview. So I'm still thinking April from the way he sounded. Did you not think that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, any other questions or comments? With that, I'll call for a motion to approve the director's report.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions? Hearing none, I'll do the call. Marvin,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Ruth,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I also approve. We will move to the library bill list. Kelly?
So we processed 169 payments for a total of $1,436,836. Of that, there was the payment to Anthony Ray Hinton for the one book. We had $14,000 in snow removal, and we also spent about $200,000 in continuing construction expenses. Are there any questions?
Was the snow removal within, I assume that was a part of, but that's within budget, right? You raised this up, wondered if that.
It is currently, we still have some to pay for the month of March, and we'll just have to wait and see if we get early snow in October, November, but right now we are.
Okay, good.
Good. Other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the roll. Marvin,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Ruth,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I also approve. I also know that we have some gifts. Who would like to talk about our gifts?
So we got.
Lisa.
We received 2 gifts for our sponsorships for one book and 2 for the summer reading challenge,
For a total of,
$18,000.
so do I have a motion to approve our gifts?
Sure. I move that we approve the gifts from First Source Bank, Barnes and Thornburg Community Foundation of St. Joseph County, and Express Press.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Okay, I will call for the roll. Marvin,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Ruth,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I also approve. Thank you. Moving on to personnel changes. Seems like we've got some moving management here.
There are several. Our staff is on the move again. Kara's laughing over there. In addition to my retirement this Friday and Trish's new position as interim director, which we're set to approve tonight, we're also saying goodbye to Dana Labrum at Francis Branch. And for those of you who know Dana, she's been with us a number of years. She's been manager of Main Library Reference and also opened Center Township about 20 years ago when we did that. So we're going to miss Dana. Thursday is her last day as well. As her replacement, Scott Sinnott is moving to Francis Branch as manager. And this is a promotion for Scott, who's also been with the library a very long time, almost as long as I have. He started as a shelver at River Park when he was in high school. And he and I were at Francis Branch together. He was on bookmobile staff. So he's going back to Francis Branch to do some work there. And then finally, Teresa Horn, our current youth services manager, is moving to German to take Scott's place. Teresa has a background in branch services and she's been at Maine for nearly 9 years and she's ready for a change. So she's going back to a larger branch. So we have a current opening of manager of youth services now. That's going to be filled with an internal candidate you'll have that for the next board meeting in April. So we're playing a little round of chess, their managers. We do that periodically. Questions?
Hearing none, I will call for a motion to approve the personnel changes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any other questions about personnel changes? Hearing none, I will call for the roll. Marvin,
Aye.
Alan,
With regret, aye.
I know, Anne,
If we vote against it, does
And you can't leave, we're sorry.
Aye.
Ruth,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I also approve. To my knowledge, there is no unfinished business. We will move on to new,
It's not, I guess this is the turn to say this, can I say? I want to make a compliment to the library. Is that unfinished business?
well, we can do it now. We can do it later, whenever you want to compliment. We accept all compliments. Go ahead.
I told Deb this, Jennifer and the library have been overly kind in terms of our book reading for the symphony. And we have had a great time. The staff has been wonderful. And Jennifer and I made a presentation of, you were there, earlier.
I know.
And it gathered a lot of support from Ontario. So the library is making a big name for itself to the community, and I'm very happy about that. So I wanted to just let everybody know. Our last book is this Wednesday. But Trey
Trey,
has been just amazing.
He's really good.
Amazing. So this has become, I think the city board is library more. And partner with the library more.
That would be okay with us.
So,
I told you libraries get under your skin, didn't I?
I don't, I don't like your card.
Yeah, I know.
You need to get a card.
Congratulations.
I got a card, so,
You got a card.
yeah, I got a card. You're using it a lot. So.
I have an old gold card, and when I show it to people, they go, what is that?
That's what they do.
I think I got it in 1989 or
Yeah.
something.
They wanted to give me a new card, because I said, no, I want to keep my gold card.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
That's, yes, yeah. we used to have
Thank you,
gold.
Marvin. And yes, I said that earlier, that you and Jenny did a great job at Rotary, and everybody at the table grabbed, this is pieces of paper, not email, grabbed the book of all the services for One Book, One Michiana, and they were pulling out calendars and marking things in. So yes, it's wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Can we?
I'm good.
We're good. Okay. With that, we'll move on to really exciting, interesting stuff. Our change orders for the main library project. Antonia? Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, you are on.
Okay, great. So we have a few changes for Art Mosaic. There were two changes. One for the owner allowed overtime of $1,747 and miscellaneous flooring adjustments. This included some grinding that we had them do that was above and beyond what would be considered standard floor prep for $1,248 for an overall change of $2,995. For Fagley, there was one change for the bike loop concrete work. This was prepping the site to accept the concrete for $1,478. For golf, there was one change for some drywall directed by Bully and Andrews. This is for the library space. This was for $14,817. For Herman and Getz, there were three changes. One for punch list adjustments. This is a credit of $1,971. And then we had two Bully and Andrews directed electrical changes. One for an ad of $395 and another ad for $746 for overall credit for Herman and Getz this period of $830. Interior finishes had some miscellaneous flooring adjustments that resulted in a change of $1,159. Larson Danielson, the main contract, we had two changes. Both were directions that we provided to Larson Danielson. One was $5,636 and a credit of $344 for overall change of $5,292. For Ostaban, there was one change for miscellaneous touch-up around both the annex and renovation space for $2,800. And for Robert Henry, they're planning on fixing the cracked diamonds that are inside of the maker space for $1,234 for overall change for the month of March at $28,945.
Anybody have questions for Antonia?
Antonia, just as a clarification, you had, when we talked last time, we're down to about 5,000 in contingency on the budget, right? So we're pretty well spent.
That's right.
And you've accounted for a lot of the changes that you're seeing anyway already, but we're gonna go over. We're just not quite sure how much yet. There are some things we're gonna be wrangling. And there's still a lot of construction payouts to be made. What are we at, Kelly? About 1.8 million, I think.
For construction, but overall it's about 2.6.
2.6. So a lot of that's wrapping up. What do I want to say? The 10%, the retainages and all of those things at the end of the project. So we
Yeah,
still got a
majority of that is for retention because we're still holding quite a bit of retention from our different contractors.
Right. Yeah. I
I'm
just
not
wanted
sure
to
who
give
this
you a heads up.
question is for, but how long does the punch list remain open? Is there a limitation on it? There must be.
So ideally, we would be able to get a lot of these items completed. We are having some difficulty getting responses back from one of our contractors. So we're in the process of trying to find out what our options are to get these items finalized. So a lot of these punch list items have been completed. It's just us circling back with the architectural team in order to make sure that they are in agreement that those have been 100% complete.
Thank you.
Besides the coffee makers, are we waiting for anything else from overseas?
Not from overseas.
Or from the supply chain?
Yeah, we're still waiting for end panels and top caps and some of the shelving on the second floor, first floor. We're waiting for fabric wrapped panels in this facility for which will deaden this out. Auditorium, event center, event space, ballroom, all of those places are getting panels. We have doors and millwork going in. The doors that lead from the library into the CLC, the corridor. Trish, do you remember when those are supposed to go in? Those are specially made and they've been on order for a long time.
Next month, right, Antonia, sometime between April.
The fire
4th
rated
and
doors are next
15th.
month. Is that right?
Yeah, the fire rated doors, the exterior wood doors, that's all getting, and then we also have replacement glass that's getting done between April 4th and April 15th.
Right now, it looks like the bulk of the work, except for the one contractor that Antonia just mentioned, May, don't you think? Yeah, that's what we're looking at. And again, it's a few trades and it's not a lot, except maybe one. But it's just stuff that's hung up.
So you're gonna tell us about this one at this point, or you're gonna wait until a different part of the agenda?
Well, we're in the process of having meetings right now and we just learned this last week, so it's very new. Trish or I will send you an email this week, giving you some background. And Jim is on it too. We'll talk.
So when I came to the doors downstairs, I'm already noticing marks. They're not scuff marks, but they're marks from people using the door.
On the door itself?
Yeah, look at them. You come from the library to the side. Those ground doors.
Oh, at the library end of the library before you come,
right.
those are not our permanent doors.
Oh, okay.
That's paint,
Yeah,
and
it's
that's,
been-
yeah, that's why it's chipping, but we're gonna have
yeah.
permanent
So those are
doors.
those that we're waiting.
Those are the ones we're
Right.
waiting for, and they're gonna be glass, so
Oh,
you'll see all the way
yeah.
through
The
to the
wood.
So we
courtyard.
won't get lost coming in and
No,
out?
you'll see
Okay.
that. That's,
you'll
we've been
see
waiting on
much
those
better.
for a year and a
Yeah,
half.
that's good,
Yeah.
because otherwise you can't see this.
No, they're gonna change. They're a totally custom door.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, those were for temporary purposes only, because of shipping delays that we've experienced. As we all know, we have experienced several material delays that have resulted in something that would typically take 8 weeks, taking 22 weeks, just because of the current environment that we're in.
if we hadn't put in those temporary doors, we couldn't have opened. They're fire doors, so we had to have a door there. So,
Any other questions? Well, let me summarize the change orders. We have Art Mosaic for an increase of $2,995. Bagley for an increase of $1,478. Goff, an increase of $14,817. Herman and Getz, credit of $830. Interior Finishes, $1,159. Larson Danielson, an increase of $5,292. Oosterbaan and Sons, $2,800. Robert Henry Corporation, $1,234 for a total change order of $28,945. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
second,
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the roll. Marvin,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Anne,
aye.
Ruth, John,
Aye.
and I also approve. Moving along to the non-resident fee card rate for 2022. Who is going to, Kelly?
Indiana code requires us to review the non-resident fee card and make it at least equal to our cost per capita or $25, whichever is greater. So the past year, last year we kept it the same because expenses had remained relatively the same, but with the reopening of Maine and all the purchasing and staffing levels, we've increased our expenses to $88.81 per capita. So our recommendation is to increase the fee to an even $90, which would satisfy Indiana code, make that effective April 1st.
Questions for Kelly on that?
So non-resident means out of the state or out of the county.
So what was it before?
It was 85 before.
It's mostly out of state, Marvin, or Madison Township, which pays no taxes to support a library. So Madison Township, we have to charge a fee. Most other places with a public library can pay $65 to get the plaque or the public library access card and use us that way. But this is for people who really don't pay any taxes to support a library. And so it's usually Michigan and Madison Township.
And how many non-resident cards are there?
Oh, that's a great
About
question.
100 and something. It's not too many.
It's not a lot.
How many? I'm sorry.
Oh, actually, I don't even think it's that. I think that's plaque cards.
Yeah,
I think it's
very
like
less.
30. Yeah.
It used to be a couple of hundred, and when we started reciprocal agreements, it dropped off. And so it's not that many anymore.
So I move that we increase the non-resident borrower library card, non-resident fee from 80, we increase it to $90 from $85.
I have a motion and a second. Any further questions? All right, Marvin,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
Ruth,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and I also approve. Next item on our agenda is a motion to approve Trish Coleman as interim library director. Those of you who've gotten the packet, you got a copy of the contract that Jim assisted us in putting together. No, he actually did it, but, and it's a contract for April 1st through June 30th. Let's start with a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, Are there questions? I think any questions that you might have would be answered if you read the contract, but Jim, did you want to say anything about it?
It's a contract to hire Tricia J. Coleman.
Let's get her name correct. Thank you.
Tricia, I've only known her as Tricia for how many years? But Tricia, as your interim director, term is from April 1 through June 30. Should you by any chance find a director before then, Tricia will continue to help orient that new director. So you're hiring her for a minimum of April, May, and June. If it's necessary to carry this contract beyond June 30, then you can extend it by mutual agreement by 30-day increments. Tricia, of course, as a longtime employee, has paid time off and other benefits that she's accrued that she simply retains. This contract's a little different than your usual contract with the director because there's no car provided as part of the director's compensation. So Trish has to travel somewhere to get mileage reimbursement as any other employee would for use of the personal car. And well, if you terminate it early, you have to give 30 days notice. As I said, you're hiring her for 3 months no matter what.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
I can't think of anybody better. She's been the other half of my brain, and she's one of the hardest working people I know. And she's been here since you started in 87, that's right, because we had our last, my first, my only, and your third child almost
Right.
together, who then grew up to be friends, those two kids. So you're in good hands.
Thank you.
And I feel very grateful that you're here and that you're stepping into this position to help the bridge. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, we need at least 5 present people to vote aye on that, and we do have 5 people here, so let me go for the roll call. Marvin, Alan,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Ruth,
Hi.
John,
Aye.
and I confer. So thank you very much. With that, congratulations. Really appreciate that. So thank you so very much. Next, we have library board resolution to declare excess withdrawn library materials. Do I hear a motion?
On behalf of Christine, I would
Are there questions about this?
Second.
Okay, hearing no questions, I will call for the roll. Marvin,
aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Ruth, John,
Aye.
and I also approve. Any other business? I will say at this point, other business is, and I promised I wouldn't use the word last, but this is Deb's last board meeting. For those of us who are in the room, we do have cake and coffee for everyone who's here. So please, when we adjourn this meeting, stay and eat some cake and coffee. And maybe at this time, we'll present a gift to Deb. This is from her staff.
Thanks, Rachel. We have a tradition with staff gifts. I'm glad I don't have my speaker on, because it would just be really. Thank you very much. It's the clock, and it's
The clock.
the clock, 1979 to 2022.
At this time, we have a time for hearing of visitors where members of the public are invited to address the library board. Do we have any members of the public who who wish to address the library board? We do have one member. I recognize Don Napoli.
Would you ask him to please identify himself and give us?
Okay, please identify yourself.
Donald J. Napoli, 1841 North Avenue, South End, Indiana, where I've lived for 44 years. I just wanted to come and wish Deb well. She meant a lot to me when I worked here. I miss
I'm not going too far away.
her. But anyway, I wish you well in your retirement and all of this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any news or educational items that you wish to bring up?
Just a really quick one. Today, we had a town hall for the staff. John was there because he has a SJCPL library address. But it was a presentation on a Buy for All, which we're also involved in. You may remember, for those of you who were here, that we were part of the first wave of organizations worldwide who began this. And so we're getting ready to start another team. We've had two teams working. One team has been working since 2018, and they're sort of folding, but we're keeping our partnerships. That was with the Latino community, Latinx community. The second wave is partnering with the African-American community, and now the third wave will get to decide what partnership they want. So we'll be sending you that presentation very soon. Yeah.
And I guess John Wibbins is really the old timer on the board.
Yes.
The longest serving, non-sequential, I guess, or not currently. But I've been on the board now for I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and it's really been a pleasure. Just, I mean, I know we can all speak, and we're all pleased. I think if we're in town, I'm sure we'll be at your celebration on Friday evening. But just I would like to personally say it's really been a real pleasure for me to serve on the library board, particularly because of everything you've done. And it's not only what we see, you know, day to day and with staff and everything else, but just like in the Peace Act, when we went through that whole situation, and the way you were able to put together the coalition in the community, and also the way you were able to, we had this whole bus that was moving forward with respect to the renovation of the main branch based upon our own budget. And then when the Community Foundation stepped up and challenged us, and while logic was to keep going with what we're doing and not to delay everything and get sidetracked, you had the wisdom to first of all sit down and meet with Rose, talk to Rose, and then discuss that, and then allow us to step back. He took us through that whole community process, and which led to the three-legged chair with us in the city of South Bend and Community Foundation, which led to the building, and we're sitting in the courtyard, and so everything that Don Napoli and before you sort of built and everything that allowed us to really vision, and just in listening to folks in the community that have come up to me and talked and mentioned things about how big a loss it's going to be, or how much you've done in the short time you've been, you know, director, building on what Don did before and everything. And you know, it's really been fortunate for us, and we really appreciate everything you've done. And we intend to have you continue just like Don has. Not enough now. We don't see you enough, but we want to see you as well as Don. You know, and we want to get your wisdom and keeping us on track. So again, just
thank you. I've been spending a lot of time the last few weeks going through the files, trying to organize, and I will be known as the director who had no paper files because they're all digital. But it is like a trip through memory lane to do that. And I came across my first meeting with Rose Meisner, which was January 2017.
Right.
So we've been at this for 5 years to get to this point. So thank you for the I don't know whether it was wisdom or it was just luck. I don't know, Alan, but here we are in this place.
Well, I think that we all share what Ellen said and even more, but we also promise not to make you cry. So
Yeah, that's good.
We're gonna move along, and hearing no more agenda items, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, and with the roll, Marvin, Alan,
Aye.
Ann, Ruth, John,
Aye.
and I also approve. With that, come on and have some cake. Thank you. See you next month. Okay, who is a good cake cutter? Because I am not.
I'll do the cake.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I know.
Thank
It's
you.
one reason they kept me around.
I am not a cake cutter.
Thanks, Karen.
And Karen, like
Has anyone not seen it? Read it?
I'm good at passing.
Well, it was in the newspaper, so here.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Okay, it's from. Yeah.
Since I can't have any cake, I'm gonna leave, okay?
Yeah, I know, Terry. We're getting the short end of that cake stick.
Now, it's time to look, time to go.
When will you be back, Terry? When are you back in town, Terry?
Terry.
Very end of April,
Okay.
30th. And then I promise
Enjoy the rest of
not to do more meetings for the rest of the year.
Yep. I'm gonna make it back for the next meeting.
Now you're making me look bad.
So that's the last weekend. I only travel on weekends.
There you go.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye, Deb. Congrats.
Bye. Get in touch.
Yeah, be well.
All right.